Most homebuyers leave an average of $15,000 on the table simply because they do not know how to negotiate. That is not a theory. That is a pattern real estate professionals see play out in transaction after transaction, city after city, across every kind of market. The buyers who walk away paying full price or more almost never realize what just happened to them. And the ones who negotiate successfully? They all share a very specific set of habits that most people never learn. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover exactly how professional negotiators approach a home purchase, what the data actually says about where deals get made, and why the single most powerful thing you can do in a negotiation has nothing to do with the price you offer. We will also cover the counterintuitive strategy that most real estate agents will never tell you because it makes their job harder. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you will think about buying a home in a completely different way. To understand how negotiation works in real estate today, you need to understand where it came from. For most of the 20th century, home buying was a relatively straightforward process. Sellers set a price, buyers made an offer, and both sides met somewhere in the middle. The information gap between buyers and sellers was enormous. Sellers often knew far more about market conditions than buyers did, which gave them a structural advantage that was nearly impossible to overcome. Then came the internet. Platforms like Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com democratized market data in a way that completely reshaped the negotiation landscape. Suddenly buyers could see comparable sales, days on market, price reduction history, and neighborhood trends before they ever set foot in a house. By 2015, the National Association of Realtors reported that over 90% of buyers used the internet during their home search. That shift transferred enormous power to the buyer side, but only to buyers who knew how to use that information strategically. Today the market swings between seller-favored and buyer-favored conditions depending on interest rates, inventory levels, and regional economic factors. Understanding which environment you are operating in is the very foundation of any successful negotiation. So let us talk about the mechanics. The first and most critical thing any buyer needs before making an offer is what negotiators call leverage intelligence. This is not just knowing the asking price. It means understanding why the seller is selling, how long the property has been on the market, whether there have been any prior offers that fell through, and what the seller's timeline looks like. Every single one of these factors changes your negotiating position dramatically. Here is a number that should immediately change how you approach this. According to data analyzed by Redfin, homes that sit on the market for more than 30 days sell for an average of 4 to 6% below their original list price. At the median U.S. home price of around $400,000, that is $16,000 to $24,000 in potential savings. But most buyers never ask how long a property has been listed. They fixate on the asking price and forget to look at the context surrounding it. The second principle is understanding the difference between price and terms. This is where most buyers fundamentally misunderstand negotiation. They think the goal is to get the lowest number written on the contract. But experienced negotiators know that sometimes giving the seller the price they want while controlling the terms is worth far more in actual value. Closing date flexibility, inspection contingency periods, earnest money amounts, and requests for seller-paid closing costs can all shift thousands of dollars in your favor without ever touching the sale price. Here is what nobody talks about. Sellers are emotionally attached to their asking price in a way they are not attached to their net proceeds. If a seller listed their home at $350,000 and you offer $340,000, they may feel insulted. But if you offer the full $350,000 while requesting $10,000 in seller concessions toward closing costs, many sellers will accept that deal happily, and you have effectively paid $340,000 anyway. The third principle is the power of pre-approval over pre-qualification. This distinction is not just administrative. A fully underwritten pre-approval letter signals to a seller that your financing is essentially secured. In competitive markets, this can be the difference between your offer being accepted and being ignored entirely. In slower markets, it strengthens your negotiating position because the seller knows you are a serious, qualified buyer who will not cause the deal to fall apart at the financing stage. Now let us get into the deeper strategy. One of the most overlooked negotiation tools is the home inspection, not as a safety check, but as a strategic instrument. Once you are under contract, the inspection report becomes a second negotiation. Professional buyers use this phase not to back out of deals, but to renegotiate terms based on documented findings. Even on a well-maintained home, a thorough inspector will find items worth addressing. HVAC systems, roofing conditions, electrical panels, plumbing. Any of these findings can justify a price reduction, a seller credit, or a requirement that repairs be completed before closing. Data from the American Society of Home Inspectors suggests that over 85% of home inspections reveal at least some deficiencies. Buyers who understand this going in treat the inspection contingency as a planned renegotiation opportunity, not a potential deal killer. The key is focusing on material deficiencies with documented costs rather than nitpicking minor cosmetic issues that sellers will dismiss and resent. Now here is the counterintuitive insight we promised you at the start. In many negotiations, the most powerful move you can make is to walk away, not threaten to walk away, but actually walk away. Experienced real estate investors know this principle intimately. When a seller realizes that a motivated, pre-approved buyer has genuinely withdrawn from a transaction, the psychological shift is immediate and profound. Deals that seemed completely stalled have been resurrected within 48 hours simply because the buyer stopped negotiating and left the table. This works because most sellers anchor their expectations to the first serious offer they receive. Once that offer disappears, they are forced to recalibrate against the current market rather than against their original aspirations. The fear of going back to zero relisting, staging again, showing the home again, is often more motivating than the desire to hold out for a better number. But this strategy requires genuine willingness to actually walk. Sellers and their agents can sense manufactured urgency from a mile away. If you bluff and then come back without leverage, you have given away your negotiating position permanently. Let us also address the role of the real estate agent in your negotiation. A skilled buyer's agent is worth their weight in gold, but only if they are genuinely working for your interests and not simply trying to close the transaction as quickly as possible. Some agents, particularly in competitive markets, subtly discourage aggressive negotiation because a deal that falls apart means they earn nothing. Ask your agent directly, what is the average days on market for this area? What did comparable homes actually sell for, not list for? How many price reductions has this property had? If your agent cannot or will not answer those questions clearly, that tells you something important about who they are actually representing. The final layer of negotiation strategy involves timing. End-of-month closings are often preferred by sellers with mortgages because they reduce the amount of prepaid interest they owe. Offering a closing date that aligns with the seller's financial preferences costs you nothing but can generate significant goodwill that translates into price flexibility. Similarly, making an offer late in the week when sellers have just endured another weekend of showings with no results can make your offer feel far more appealing than the same offer made on a Monday morning. Real estate negotiation is not about being aggressive. It is about being informed, strategic, and patient. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Realty Pulse for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.